Afghanistan, 2002. Coalition Special Operations Forces are working together in the mountains hunting Taliban and Al-Qaeda fighters. British SAS teams are conducting long-range mountain patrols, sometimes covering 30 to 40 kilometers on foot through brutal terrain at high altitude. They carry everything they need for weeks of independent operations. Navy SEALs, America's elite maritime special operations force, request to join SAS patrols to gain mountain warfare experience. The SAS response shocks the American command: no. They can't keep up. They couldn't walk 10 miles with our kit in these mountains. The statement is blunt, almost insulting. Navy SEALs are among the most elite warriors in the world. Their training is legendarily brutal. They've operated in every environment imaginable. Yet the SAS is saying they're not fit enough for mountain patrols. The incident creates tension between the units. American officers are offended. But the SAS commanders don't back down. They explain, this isn't about courage or combat skills. It's about a fundamental difference in training philosophy, physical conditioning, and operational doctrine. SEALs are optimized for short-duration, high-intensity maritime operations. SAS selection and training produces soldiers optimized for prolonged endurance in austere environments. They're different tools for different jobs. This is the story of why, and what it reveals about the different philosophies of America's and Britain's most elite forces. To understand the controversy, first understand what Navy SEALs are designed to do. SEALs, sea, air, land, are the U.S. Navy's principal special operations force. Their core competency is maritime operations, ship boarding and seizure, underwater infiltration, beach reconnaissance, coastal raids, demolition of maritime targets. Their training reflects this focus. BUD/S, Basic Underwater Demolition/SEAL, emphasizes swimming, diving, small boat operations, and surf zone work. Physical training focuses on upper body strength for swimming and carrying boats. Endurance training involves ocean swimming and surf torture, not long-distance land movement. The result, SEALs are incredibly strong, tough, and capable in maritime environments. But their physical conditioning is optimized for swimming, not walking. They're built like swimmers, powerful upper bodies, strong but not necessarily marathon-capable legs. SEALs do conduct land operations, and they're very good at them. But their bread and butter is maritime. When they operate on land, it's typically short-duration raids, hours, not weeks. Helicopter insertion to target, complete mission, extract. Vehicle-mounted operations when extended land movement is required. They're not trained or conditioned for multi-week foot patrols through mountains carrying 120+ pounds of equipment. That's not their mission set. There's no reason they should be. But in Afghanistan, the mountains demanded exactly that capability, and SEALs discovered they weren't optimized for it. The British SAS, Special Air Service, has a completely different origin and mission set. Founded in World War II for long-range desert patrols behind enemy lines, the SAS specializes in extended operations in austere, remote environments. Long-range reconnaissance patrols. Direct action missions requiring days or weeks to infiltrate on foot. Living off minimal resources in hostile territory. SAS selection, the infamous selection course, is designed to identify soldiers capable of exactly this kind of warfare. The course is built around endurance. Candidates carry progressively heavier loads, 40 to 60 pounds, over progressively longer distances, 15-40+ kilometers, through the Welsh Mountains. Navigation is individual, you're alone in the mountains with a map and compass. Time standards are brutal and deliberately opaque, you don't know if you're fast enough until you pass or fail. The final, long drag, or endurance, march is 40+ miles with 55+ pound Bergen, backpack, over rough mountain terrain, to be completed in under 20 hours. Physical conditioning for SAS focuses on leg strength and endurance for carrying heavy loads long distances. Cardiovascular fitness for sustained exertion at altitude. Mental toughness to continue when exhausted and in pain. The result, SAS soldiers are built for endurance. They may not have the bulky upper body strength of SEALs, but they can walk forever with heavy weight. This is by design. SAS operational doctrine assumes weeks of independent movement through hostile territory. They condition their soldiers accordingly. The physical differences between average SEALs and SAS operators reflect their different training and missions. Typical Navy SEAL physical profile: muscular upper body from swimming and boat carrying. Strong legs but optimized for sprinting and swimming kicks, not long-distance load carrying. Body fat percentage very low, 6 to 10%. Emphasis on explosive strength and power. Typical SAS operator physical profile: lean, wiry build, less bulk, more endurance. Extremely strong legs and core from load carrying. Body fat percentage moderate, 10 to 15%, some fat is useful for endurance. Emphasis on sustained output over hours and days. Neither is better, they're optimized for different tasks. A SEAL would likely outperform an SAS operator in swimming long distances. Underwater operations. Upper body strength challenges. Sprint speed and explosive movements. An SAS operator would likely outperform a SEAL in long-distance load carrying, 30+ km with heavy pack. Multi-day foot movement without resupply. Endurance at altitude. Minimal calorie extended operations. The Afghanistan mountain environment favored SAS-type conditioning. Patrols required: walking 20 to 40 kilometers daily through mountains at 8,000 plus feet altitude. Carrying 120 plus pounds of weapons, ammunition, food, and equipment. Operating for 2 to 3 weeks without resupply or extraction. This plays to SAS strengths and away from SEAL strengths. It's not that SEALs can't walk, they absolutely can. But they're not conditioned for the specific demands of multi-week mountain foot patrols with heavy loads. The infamous, "couldn't walk 10 miles" comment comes from a specific incident in 2002. A SEAL team requested to accompany an SAS mountain patrol in Afghanistan's Tora Bora region. The SAS patrol plan: 3-week operation, mostly on foot. Insertion point 40 kilometers from target area. Daily movement of 15 to 25 kilometers through mountains at 8,000 to 12,000 feet altitude. Total load per man: 120 to 140 pounds including weapons, ammunition, food, water, communications gear, and survival equipment. The SAS commander reviewed SEAL physical training records and operational history. His assessment: SEALs were not conditioned for this specific profile. He declined the joint patrol. A SEAL officer, frustrated, asked what the SAS thought SEALs couldn't do. The SAS commander's response, paraphrased from multiple accounts: "Your men are superb at what they do. But they're not conditioned for multi-week mountain foot patrols. I don't think they could walk 10 miles in these mountains with the loads we carry without breaking down physically." It's not an insult, it's just not what they train for. The 10 miles was probably hyperbole for effect, but the underlying point was serious. SAS believed SEAL physical conditioning was wrong for this mission. The comment leaked and spread throughout the special operations community, creating lasting tension. SEALs felt insulted. SAS felt they'd been honest about operational requirements. Both were partially right. After the initial refusal, some SEALs were determined to prove they could handle SAS-style mountain operations. In 2002 to 2003, several joint patrols were attempted on a trial basis. The results were mixed but confirmed SAS concerns. Day 1 to 2, SEALs kept pace without major issues, though some struggled with the weight and altitude. Day 3 to 4, SEAL physical performance degraded noticeably. Foot injuries, blisters, stress fractures, appeared. Some SEALs required medevac for injuries. Day 5+, most SEALs who remained were significantly slower than SAS operators. Load had to be reduced or redistributed. Mission tempo slowed to accommodate SEAL limitations. One SAS operator, speaking anonymously years later, described it: "They're tough lads, no question. But on day 5, when we're still walking 20 kilometers with full kit, they're hobbling. It's not their fault, they're not trained for it. We do this for months during selection. They do hell week in the water. Different preparation for different jobs." The physical breakdown wasn't universal, some SEALs adapted well. But the pattern was clear enough that SAS generally stopped accepting SEALs on extended mountain patrols. It wasn't worth the risk of mission compromise. SEALs, to their credit, learned from this. They began sending personnel to mountain warfare schools and adapted training for Afghanistan operations. But the fundamental point remained: their core conditioning was maritime, not mountain endurance. Beyond physical conditioning, SAS and SEALs approach equipment and load carrying very differently. SEAL equipment philosophy: bring the best gear available. Modern, high-tech equipment. Generous ammunition loads. Expectation of resupply or extraction if needed. Comfort items acceptable if they improve performance. SAS equipment philosophy: bring only what's absolutely necessary. Proven, simple equipment that won't fail. Minimal ammunition, accurate shooting more important than volume. Assumption of no resupply for weeks. Comfort is irrelevant, only mission essential items. Example loadouts for a week-long patrol: typical SEAL load, Afghanistan, circa 2002 M4 rifle with optics, laser, light, 8 pounds. 300 rounds ammunition, 10 pounds. Body armor, often worn 25 pounds. Radio, batteries, 8 pounds. Food, MREs 14 pounds, 7 days. Water, 8 pounds, 4 liters. Medical, navigation, personal kit, 15 pounds. Total, 88 pounds, without specialist equipment like machine guns, explosives, etc. Typical SAS load: same scenario, L1 19A1 rifle, lighter than M4 7 pounds. 200 rounds ammunition, 7 pounds. No body armor, too heavy for extended foot patrols. Radio, batteries, 6 pounds. Food, lightweight rations 10 pounds. Water, 4 pounds, 2 liters, planned to resupply from streams. Medical, navigation, personal kit, 10 pounds. Total, 44 pounds base load. The difference is dramatic, 44 versus 88 pounds. And this doesn't include mission-specific kit, which both would carry additionally. SAS philosophy accepts more risk, no body armor, less ammunition, to enable mobility. SEAL philosophy prioritizes protection and firepower even if it means more weight. The SAS SEAL divide also reflects broader cultural differences between American and British military forces. American military culture emphasizes overwhelming firepower and technological superiority. Generous logistics and supply. Fair fight isn't acceptable, bring maximum capability. Individual soldier protection is paramount. British military culture, especially SAS, emphasizes economy of force, minimum necessary to accomplish mission. Expectation of operating with limited resources. Improvise, adapt, overcome, solve problems with what you have. Mission accomplishment prioritized over individual protection. These cultural differences manifest in special operations. SEALs expect helicopter insertion, robust communications, air support on call, and extraction when mission complete. Operating alone means hours or maybe days, not weeks. SAS trains assuming helicopter might not be available, communications might fail, no air support possible, and extraction weeks away. Operating alone means potentially weeks or months independently. Neither approach is wrong, they're different strategic cultures. American military has resources to enable high-tech, well-supported operations. British military, with smaller budget and force, developed doctrine around operating independently with minimal support. In Afghanistan's mountains, the British approach was sometimes more suitable. The terrain and enemy made resupply difficult, communication spotty, and helicopter support unreliable. SAS conditioning and doctrine fit the environment. SEAL conditioning and doctrine, optimized for different environments, was less ideal. The different capabilities of SAS and SEALs stem from fundamentally different selection and training processes. SEAL BUD/S, Basic Underwater Demolition/SEAL Training Duration, 6 months. Emphasis, mental toughness through surf torture, cold, sleep deprivation, and constant harassment. Physical training, swimming, running, calisthenics, boat carrying. Environment, beach, ocean, surf zone. Attrition, 70–80% fail or quit. Key challenge, Hell Week, 5.5 days of continuous training with minimal sleep, maximum physical stress in and around the ocean. The result, operators who can endure extreme discomfort and push through exhaustion, optimized for maritime operations. SAS selection, duration, 4 to 6 weeks of Hills phase, then continuation training, total 5 months. Emphasis, individual endurance and navigation under increasing weight and distance. Physical training, long-distance load carrying in mountains, alone. Environment, Welsh Mountains, often in winter. Attrition, 85–90% fail. Key challenge, the long drag, 40+ miles with 55+ pound pack in under 20 hours, followed by continuation training including escape and evasion, interrogation resistance, and operational training. The result, operators who can cover vast distances independently with heavy loads through rough terrain for extended periods. Both selection courses are brutal, but they test different things. BUD/S tests, can you continue when cold, wet, exhausted, and being harassed? Can you work as a team under extreme stress? Can you operate in and around water under terrible conditions? SAS selection tests, can you navigate and move independently when exhausted? Can you maintain performance as weight and distance increase over weeks? Can you endure pain and discomfort alone without external motivation? BUD/S creates team players conditioned for intense maritime operations. Selection creates independent operators conditioned for prolonged endurance missions. One critical element the 10 miles controversy overlooks, altitude. Afghanistan mountain operations often occur at 8,000 to 14,000 feet altitude. At this elevation, oxygen is 30 to 40% less available than at sea level. Every movement requires more energy and cardiovascular effort. Weight feels heavier because your body is working harder. Dehydration occurs faster. Recovery from exertion is slower. SEALs train primarily at sea level, by necessity, their naval special operations. Their cardiovascular conditioning is excellent, but it's developed in oxygen-rich environments. SAS trains in the Welsh Mountains, 2,000 to 3,000 feet, but also conducts high-altitude training in Scotland, up to 4,400 feet, and overseas. More importantly, their selection and training emphasize sustained cardiovascular effort under load, which translates better to altitude than swimming fitness does. Example, a SEAL and SAS operator, both in excellent shape at sea level, attempt a 10-kilometer patrol at 10,000 feet with 100-pound loads. The SEAL, whose cardiovascular conditioning comes from swimming and sprint running, may struggle significantly with sustained effort at altitude with load. The SAS operator, whose conditioning comes from hours of loaded marching, maintains performance better because that's what his body is trained to do. This isn't universal, individual variation matters, but the pattern holds. Endurance athletes, marathoners, distance hikers, generally adapt to altitude better than strength athletes, swimmers, sprinters. SAS conditioning is more endurance athlete oriented. SEAL conditioning is more strength athlete oriented. To their credit, Navy SEALs learned from the Afghanistan mountain experience and adapted. Changes implemented 2003 present, mountain warfare training, SEALs now attend courses at military mountain warfare schools. Endurance emphasis, more long-distance load carrying in SEAL training. Altitude training, some SEAL teams conduct training at altitude, Colorado, California mountains. Equipment reduction, lighter, more mobile loadouts for some operations. Cross-training with SAS, some joint training programs developed. The adaptation worked. By 2005 to 2010, SEALs operating in Afghanistan were far more capable in mountain environments than the 2002-era teams. But they still weren't optimized for the longest, most austere patrols. For those missions, Army Special Forces, Green Berets, or British SAS remained better suited. SEALs focused on missions playing to their strengths: rapid raids, helicopter in, quick assault, helicopter out. Vehicle-mounted operations in mountains. Coastal and riverine operations, Afghanistan-Pakistan border rivers. Short duration, 1 to 3 day, patrols where their fitness was sufficient. They didn't try to become mountain endurance specialists. Instead, they adapted enough to operate in the environment while maintaining their core maritime focus. This is smart institutional learning: adapt to new environment without losing your core competency. The SAS SEAL divide reflects a historical pattern: maritime and mountain warriors develop different physical capabilities. Throughout history, mountain warriors, Swiss infantry, Nepalese Gurkhas, Afghan fighters, emphasize endurance, climbing ability, and load carrying over long distances. Maritime warriors, Viking raiders, British sailors, modern naval infantry, emphasize upper body strength, swimming, and short-duration high-intensity effort. Modern Special Operations Forces follow this pattern: British SAS, Royal Marine Commandos, mountain/Arctic endurance-focused conditioning, long-range patrols. U.S. Navy SEALs, Marine Reconnaissance, strength-focused conditioning, maritime operations. Both have their place. Neither is superior universally. Environment determines which is more effective. Afghanistan's mountains favored endurance specialists. Coastal Iraq and maritime counterterrorism favor strength specialists. The mistake some make is assuming because SEALs are America's most elite, they must be capable of everything. They're not, and they don't need to be. They're capable of maritime special operations better than anyone. That's their role. Similarly, SAS operators aren't optimal for every mission. Put them in underwater operations and SEALs would dominate. Each force has its niche. The 10 miles controversy arose because missions in Afghanistan fell outside SEAL optimization but inside SAS optimization. It wasn't a value judgment on which force is better. It was a practical assessment of which force was better suited for specific missions. Despite the tension from the 10 miles controversy, SAS and SEALs maintain mutual professional respect. SAS operators acknowledge, SEALs are exceptionally skilled in maritime operations. SEAL combat effectiveness in their domain is unmatched. Individual SEAL courage and toughness is beyond question. Some SEALs adapted well to mountain operations and earned SAS respect. SEALs acknowledge, SAS endurance and mountain warfare capabilities are exceptional. SAS selection and training produces unique physical and mental conditioning. SAS operational security and professionalism is outstanding. There's much to learn from British Special Operations doctrine. The forces have worked together successfully in Iraq, 2003 to 2011 urban raids and counterterrorism operations where SEAL and SAS capabilities overlapped well. Maritime counterterrorism, joint operations against piracy and maritime threats. Training exchanges, personnel swaps for cross-training. Afghanistan, after 2005 once SEALs adapted to mountain environment, more successful joint operations. The 10 miles incident is now ancient history in special operations community. Both forces have evolved. But the underlying lesson remains valid: physical conditioning must match operational requirements. You can't be optimized for everything. Specialization creates capability but also limitation. And honestly assessing those limitations is more professional than pretending they don't exist. While SEALs struggled with extended mountain operations, another American unit proved well-suited: U.S. Army Special Forces, Green Berets. Green Beret training and doctrine emphasized, extended operations in remote, austere environments, similar to SAS. Building rapport with indigenous forces, requiring weeks or months in country. Long-range reconnaissance and unconventional warfare. In Afghanistan, Green Berets excelled at multi-week patrols with Afghan allies. Living in remote mountain outposts for months. Extended operations without significant American support. This shouldn't be surprising. Green Berets and SAS have similar operational philosophies, derived from similar World War II origins, both trace lineage to units conducting long-range operations behind enemy lines. Green Beret physical training, like SAS, emphasizes long-distance load carrying and endurance. Sustained operations with minimal resources. Cultural and language training, which requires time and patience, not just physical toughness. In Afghanistan, Green Berets and SAS work together extensively and effectively. Their capabilities and approaches aligned naturally. The three-way comparison illuminates American Special Operations specialization, SEALs, maritime operations, short-duration high-intensity raids. Green Berets, extended operations in austere environments, unconventional warfare, foreign internal defense. Delta Force, counterterrorism, high-risk hostage rescue. Each has its role. Afghanistan required Green Beret capabilities more than SEAL capabilities, though SEALs adapted and found their niche. The lesson: match the force to the mission. Don't force maritime specialists into mountain endurance roles when you have mountain specialists available. The 10 miles controversy teaches several lessons about special operations forces. Specialization creates capability. SEALs are optimized for maritime operations. That optimization makes them less optimal for mountain endurance. This is acceptable and even desirable. You can't be best at everything. Honest assessment matters more than ego. SAS was right to decline joint patrols when they assessed SEALs weren't conditioned for the mission. Pretending otherwise would have risked mission failure and lives. Physical conditioning must match operational requirements. You can't prepare for every possible mission. Training creates specific adaptations. SEAL training creates maritime optimized fitness. SAS training creates endurance optimized fitness. Different forces have different roles. The U.S. has multiple special operations forces, SEALs, Green Berets, Delta, Rangers, precisely because different missions require different specializations. Britain has fewer forces but trains them for broader missions. Elite doesn't mean universal. Being elite means being exceptionally good at your specialized mission set, not being good at everything. Context matters more than reputation. In maritime counterterrorism, SEALs dominate. In mountain endurance patrols, SAS dominates. Neither dominance diminishes the other. The "couldn't walk 10 miles" comment was probably exaggerated for effect. But the underlying point was valid. Multi-week mountain patrols with 120-plus pound loads is a specific capability that requires specific conditioning. SEALs weren't conditioned for it in 2002. They adapted somewhat but remained primarily maritime specialists, which is exactly what they should be. The controversy is less about SEALs versus SAS and more about understanding that even among elite forces, different units have different capabilities. Respect those differences. Match forces to missions appropriately. And recognize that limitation in one area doesn't diminish excellence in another. SEALs couldn't walk 10 miles in the mountains with SAS loads and pace, in 2002. But they could swim 10 miles in the ocean with combat loads where SAS would struggle. Different tools for different jobs. Both essential. Both elite. Both with their place.